Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there tonight, and more importantly, staying safe with the ongoing strong to severe storm activity that's been going on from earlier this morning all the way into this afternoon, this evening. Will continue throughout the overnight hours for some areas. For a lot of folks, including my neck of the woods here in central South Carolina, things have calmed down. The sun's even starting to peek out right before it sets. But I actually left work a couple hours early, went out and storm chased here locally in central South Carolina. Saw some pretty intense stuff. Saw a lightning bolt hit a power pole right in front of me. Sparks flew and everything, but got home safe just in time for dinner time, just to make this video for you folks. So we're here to speak on more severe weather. Unfortunately, we're going to speak on tomorrow's severe weather threat first. We'll get very detailed. We'll speak on the outlook. We'll break it down state by state. And I've been like, it takes a little bit longer to do it. My videos are already very long, but I feel like even though it takes longer to prepare the videos, I'm able to kind of breeze through the states a lot better when I actually have a timestamp up and I have actual town and city names up on these individual maps from Pivotal Weather. So I'm probably going to continue to do that for the foreseeable future when speaking on severe weather. So we'll do that, and then we'll speak on Wednesday, Thursday, and even Friday, all the way into the weekends, severe weather potential. Wednesday is going to be a big day. We're not quite in range of short range model guidance quite yet. We will be by the time we get into tomorrow, but we're going to speak on everything we know. We're still going to get incredibly detailed for you folks. And like I said, we'll go all the way through the weekend, because I do think we're going to have severe weather that, like I said, lasts all the way through the weekend, even though we don't have any outlooks up past Thursday. We'll speak on flash flooding. Folks, I think this is a storyline that's not going to be talked about as much, but it needs a lot of attention. It's not a big deal right now, but it's going to become a big deal the later we get into this work week, into this weekend. And we'll also speak about snow too. Don't want to leave my folks hanging up here in the upper Midwest, because there is going to be a winter weather side of this. It's going to get going as early as tomorrow morning. So guys, there's a million tabs pulled up. You know we got a lot to talk about. Take advantage of those timestamps. I will have them up throughout the entire video for you folks to just skip ahead to just hear what you want to hear. I don't expect anybody to work here to listen to the entire video. I know not everybody has all the time in the world for that. I get it. That's why I put those timestamps up. Utilize them, take advantage of them. They're there for that reason. So let's get rocking and rolling. The first thing we'll speak on is tomorrow's severe weather event. Now, we did upgrade a category for a pretty small area, and it's mainly in Kansas. So we'll speak on that first, and we'll talk about the southern mode of this, which is also, I would say, more conditional. If we can get anything going, it could produce all hazards kind of south of Kansas, but let's speak on the northern section first. So level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk in this orange area. Hutchinson, Emporia, Wichita, Topeka, Manhattan. You guys have a level 3 out of 5 risk of severe weather in that orange area. The yellow is a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. I mean, you got Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, back to Hayes, Great Bend. Just trying to mention as many people as possible. Kansas City, the entire northern half of Missouri, all the way up through like Peoria, Illinois, into like Rockford, Illinois. And then all the southern counties, far southern counties of Iowa, all the way down to Columbia, Springfield, Missouri. So the dark green, that is a marginal level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather. What's driving this? Well, in this very small area, the enhanced risk area, we have a 10% risk of a tornado in this yellow region, of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. But you also have the black hatched area around this. So you see the black outline region with the black dashes going in between it. That means there's also a 10% risk of a stronger tornado, EF2 or higher. So Hutchinson, Wichita, etc., all included in this. The brown area is a 5% risk of a tornado. Joplin, Topeka, Manhattan, Pratt, Kansas City, you guys have a 5% risk of a tornado in the brown. So the green is a 2% risk of a tornado. Next outlook we'll look at is the wind outlook. I want to make sure I don't say hail outlook. This is also driving the enhanced risk. So the red area is a 30% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in a given location. And the yellow area is a 15% risk of the same thing, winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. So I do think the enhanced risk area could broaden tomorrow. I don't think it'll get huge, but I do think it could get a little bit larger. It could extend up into Nebraska. We'll see what happens. This is what we know as of this evening, the night before. And then the hail threat is going to be significant. Red area, 30% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. So this is driving the enhanced risk also. Hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes all driving this level 3 out of 5 risk. And then the yellow area is a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. And if you live in this black outline area with the black dashes going in between it, this is also its own separate 10% risk of significant hail, hail exceeding 2 inch in diameter or larger. Okay, so let's talk about the southern mode. More of a conditional threat down here, but you guys just have a slight risk that extends all the way down to San Angelo, Abilene, Dallas, Fort Worth, Wichita Falls, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, right through the heart of Oklahoma, Woodard, Enid, hopefully I said that right, up over to Fayetteville, Fort Smith, slight, a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. All right, so the tornado outlook, the brown area, that is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. And the green area is a 2% risk of a tornado. And then the wind threat, if you live in that yellow area, 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then the hail threat is in the yellow is a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. And if you live in this black outlined area with a black dashes going in between it, you have a chance of significant hail, hail exceeding a 10% risk of hail exceeding 2 inch in diameter or larger. Includes, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. You guys are certainly, you're no stranger to these kind of storms that produce very large hail. So take this serious. And I do think the hail threat is quite serious for the southern areas. It's just, do any storms form? And I'm going to show you what I mean by that here in a second. So let's go on and dive into this state by state. Let's speak on Nebraska first. Remember, time frames are up here. So this is 1 p.m. Central Time. Nothing really going on in the state at this point. 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. We start to get a little convection that forms north of North Platte, Grand Island, Kearney. I would even watch, look at this storm in South Dakota. This could produce, and then we start to get to 5 p.m., 6 p.m., then I really think these storms in eastern Nebraska could begin to rotate. There's going to be a surface low up here. This will drive some kinematics that's going to support a turning in the atmosphere, and rotating thunderstorms will be here in eastern Nebraska. It's just, do you have enough thermodynamics up here to really drive these storms? So you keep going, you get into 7 p.m. Any of these storms, Lincoln getting into Omaha, the Sioux Falls, Sioux City area, you see this little circular cylinder little thing right here. This is where it's indicating a rotating updraft with this specific storm. Remember, this is just one model. This isn't exactly what's going to happen. It's just kind of giving us an idea what could potentially happen. It's just model guidance. We're starting to get into 8 p.m. Storms are moving through Lincoln, Omaha, and 9 p.m. and then 10 p.m. And then I think some cool, drier air begins to move in after that. So, just another timeline of this. This is 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And this is the updraft velocity swath during this time, kind of telling us where some rotating updrafts can be. And it does pick up on this storm right here in this region. So, this is closer. It's kind of north of Grand Island. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any town names or city names up in this area. But, in this region right here, I'd watch out. Trying to show some rotating updrafts in this region. So, now, the big state for severe weather is going to be Kansas. But we will cover Iowa and Illinois really quick, and then we'll drop down to Kansas. So, Iowa, this is around 7 p.m., and you're probably wondering, why are we jumping so far ahead until tomorrow evening? Well, that's because nothing really happens between, for most of the day, all the way until about 7 p.m. So this is 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Could get some scattered convection, downpours, but, you take it into 9 p.m., could have a broken line of storms that moves west to east throughout the state. So Creston, getting into Des Moines, Ames, Fort Dodge, late tomorrow evening, 10, 11 p.m., could get some storms. And it really just on this particular run just looks like a big blob of rain. Nothing too crazy or anything like that, but very well, these storms can very well pack a punch. We get into 2 a.m., I really think the low-level jet might start ramping up in eastern Iowa. So watch out, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, Davenport. You guys could get some strong to severe storms, and this is 3 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning, so pretty late. Could wake you up in the middle of the night here in the state of Iowa as most of the action begins to move in closer to sunset. So if we look at Illinois, Indiana, this is 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Nothing really going on. Some showers in Davenport, getting into Rockford. 8 p.m., 9 p.m. These storms could produce something, but they don't look very worrisome, I would say, on this particular run. 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight tomorrow night. This is 1 a.m. Wednesday morning. Storms look to be ongoing in northern Illinois. Maybe some storms in Chicago, and then a larger area of storms moves into the wee hours of the morning in western Illinois. Galesburg up to Rockford, Peoria could begin to get it around 5 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. They hit Quincy, and then they start to move through the central portion of the state, and then we start to get fully into Wednesday morning. We could have a broken line of storms rumbling through Chicago, South Bend, all the way up through Gary, Springfield, Illinois. So we'll stop it right there. And then we'll drop it down to Kansas. Now, this is going to be the highlighted state for tomorrow, most likely. Storm Prediction Center obviously says that too. But let's start off 1 p.m. Tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Time frames up there. Beginning at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Nothing going on. 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Some storms start to get going. North of Manhattan, Hayes, Hutchinson, up here in the northern counties of Nebraska. And then we get some storms forming near Wichita too. See what happens after this. We'll stop it here. This is around 8 p.m. Nasty storms starting to move through the central portion of Kansas, heading right towards Manhattan. I forgot how y'all pronounce it. Salina. Somebody's going to correct me in the comments. I know somebody's already corrected me in the comments probably over the years, but guys, unless I'm repeating it like 10 times in one video, I'm probably going to keep forgetting. But this is the storm action I'm worried about down here, okay? And sort of central to eastern Kansas, southeastern Kansas, you could get a strong EF2 or stronger tornado down here with these storms. You see this kind of weird little squiggly thing coming off this cell. This is indicating a rotating updraft. And these are the storms I'm concerned about. If you live in southeastern Kansas, I would really take this serious for tomorrow. We could have 1, 2, 3 dangerous supercells in this area. And even this more so line of storms going through Manhattan, points north into southeast Nebraska, these could produce also, showing some rotating updrafts with this. But I am concerned about these storms. And you keep this going, that storm continues to head off into Missouri. And then this line of storms itself, this is around 11 p.m., going through the entire eastern section of Kansas. This will be working with very favorable kinematics, wind energy that supports damaging winds, large hail. Well, wind energy that supports damaging winds and tornadoes. Large hail, thermodynamically driven. But you can see a lot of rotating updrafts with this line of storms. Topeka, Wichita. This is 1 a.m., this is 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It takes a while for these storms to clear out. So I would say, right after 6 o'clock, watch out for some supercells in eastern Kansas. Then this line of storms gets going that could produce all hazards. Supercells move out of the way, and then one sweeping line of storms throughout the overnight hours. But you look at the rotating updrafts, guys. I mean, it really just abruptly starts in central Kansas and then goes all the way through eastern Kansas. Tons of rotating updrafts showing up on this particular run of the HRRR model run. And, you look at the significant tornado parameter, folks, and it really spikes in Kansas. Now, just because you have an extremely high significant tornado parameter doesn't always mean that you're going to get tornadoes, because you have to have enough lift in the atmosphere to get these storms going. And you also have to have no cap. Maybe a little bit of a cap, but if you have too much of sort of a capping mechanism like you will to the south in this setup, then the updrafts can't really get going and take advantage of all the players in the atmosphere that supports tornadoes. But, the significant tornado parameter will definitely spike in eastern Kansas. In a response, you're going to get definitely a tornado threat. And if you look at the damaging wind risk with this, looks quite significant. In eastern Kansas, southeastern Kansas, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. And this is just strong winds in western Kansas and Colorado just off the ejecting low, where there will be a fire risk and there won't be a whole lot of rain that forms back over here. So now if we drop it, if we go over to Missouri, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., some scattered showers, 9 p.m., there's those supercells coming out of eastern Kansas. This is 10 p.m. Look at that powerful storm right near Kansas City. And then look at those storms, very intense in nature up here in northwest Missouri, St. Joseph. Be careful late tomorrow evening. Look at this storm near Clinton, which is the leftover supercell from Kansas, if it actually does happen. And then watch out just northern counties of Missouri. Dangerous line of storm sweeps through late at night. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. Look at the time frame. And so Kansas City, you get a really powerful line of storms that moves in around midnight, give or take an hour, if this is correct. And I do think these storms kind of lose some gas as they begin to move in to central sections of the state, hit Quincy, Columbia, Springfield, down to Rolla, and then they could begin to intensify Wednesday morning. We'll watch out for that. Updraft Felicity swath, it continues through Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City right in here, showing some rotating storms over your area, but it does begin to lessen as it gets deeper into Missouri. So that's something, that could be some good news. Now, you get into Oklahoma and Texas. This is more conditional, guys. 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7. There's one storm. And listen, models do really bad with these. So this is 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. Folks, we could easily have storms in this area right in here. But absolutely nothing is showing up. We could easily have storms if the cap breaks. So just keep in mind, just because it shows absolutely nothing, that doesn't mean absolutely nothing's going to happen. But it does show as we're starting to get to, say, after midnight, storms begin to form. Oklahoma City up to Stillwater, Bartlesville, Tulsa, and then kind of a draping line of storms forms. And then we get some stronger storms that form in eastern Oklahoma as we're getting, it's about 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. And then as we're getting a lot more of a low-level flow, it really drives these storms to get going. And, we drop it down to northern Texas. Same thing. Nothing's going on tomorrow afternoon, evening. Based off this run, that doesn't mean that's, nothing's going to happen. Just keep in mind something could. Then, boom, storms really get going like early Wednesday morning. But nothing happens. My nose is really stopped up, guys. The pollen's kicking my rear end. But nothing happens based off this run. So I would just keep in mind, if you're in Oklahoma, northern Texas, folks, you got a slight risk for a reason. You got this in place for a reason. Even though models don't show anything, that we could very well wake up tomorrow morning and the models show something crazy. So, obviously we got to figure out what actually real-time happens and real-time observation. So the cap could break. We could very well get very powerful storms through Oklahoma and all the way down to central Texas tomorrow evening. So, and then we got Wednesday's severe weather threat. All right. Huge enhanced risk. I got a feeling we're probably going to wake up to a moderate risk. Now, I was wrong about the last event. Remember, I said the same thing. I'm not always right, but a huge enhanced risk. I do think this is working with a lot more powerful low-level jet, low-level flow, kinematic energy is definitely more supportive for even a tornado outbreak. But we have an enhanced risk that goes all the way up to Milwaukee, Chicago, all the way almost up to Detroit, Toledo, southern counties of lower Michigan, the entire state of Indiana, most of Illinois, the entire western half of Ohio, central western Tennessee, central western Kentucky, middle Tennessee, western Tennessee, northern. It just seems like I keep repeating the same states because it seems like the same states have been under the gun with this. The entire state of Arkansas, you might as well say, northern areas of Louisiana, northeast Texas, northern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama. Huge enhanced risk in place. It's just some of the same areas that were under the gun with this last severe weather event. And all we know right now, folks, is that there is in the red area, there's a 30% risk of any severe weather, tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds. The yellow area is a 15% risk of any severe weather. And if you live in the black outline region, whether you're in the red or in the yellow area, there's a 10% risk of that severe weather being significant. EF2 or higher tornado, winds exceeding 75, 80 miles per hour, hail exceeding 2-inch in diameter or larger. Now, we also have Thursday's severe weather threat, which, guys, could easily uptrend. I mean, the ingredients are going to be pretty much over the same areas, but we have a huge level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather in that yellow area. I mean, it's a little bit further south and east, but Pittsburgh all the way down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and including Cincinnati, Charleston, West Virginia, pretty much all of Kentucky, Nashville, Clarksville, Memphis, Boot Hill, Missouri, down to Little Rock, Memphis, Shreveport, just some of the same areas. And as of now, day 5 has nothing. But listen, we could easily wake up to an outlook for Friday too, and Saturday and Sunday. But for now, there's nothing there. So for now, I'm just going to, I don't know, some of the states are cut off. Like, it's not showing a lot of Texas, but for the most part, and I know that it's cutting off like Milwaukee, areas of, but Michigan, trust me, guys, I'm going to break it down state by state the day before this event, which is pretty much tomorrow. So we're going to start off Wednesday morning. There's a 987 low right here. This is driving a lot of favorable ingredients northward all the way up into the Great Lakes region. So all you're going to see, because we're not in short-range model guidance, is splotches of green, yellow, orange, etc. Think of this as shower and storm activity. So, we're starting to get into Wednesday afternoon. You see, there's a lot of storm activity right through that enhanced risk area. This could be supercells. It could be clusters of storms, a linear mode, more of a line of storms. And then we start to get into Wednesday evening. This action continues to progress eastward. But the front doesn't progress eastward. So therefore, more kind of surface features, surface lows continues to eject this way. Like this. Okay? And the actual boundary doesn't move or progress, kind of like with this last storm system. So we continue just to get storm systems over the same area. So we're waking up Thursday morning and we're doing it again. We're getting rain. It's a little bit further southeast, but we're getting tons of heavy rain, storm, probably strong to severe storm activity through Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, northern Mississippi. And this is Thursday evening. Tons of storm activity over the same area, just a little bit south and east. And then we're getting all the way into, say, Friday morning. You think, okay, we got to be done, right? No, here it comes again. Friday afternoon, more storm activity. In fact, it's a little bit further back to the west again, more so in Oklahoma, Texas. And this is Friday evening, still storming like crazy over the same states. This is getting all the way into Saturday morning. This is Saturday afternoon, and here comes another round of storms. It's just feature after feature, and what's happening is a trough is just jammed out west, and we have a ridge that's just jammed out east. So the avenue of weather is just going right across the Mississippi Valley area in the middle of the country, and this is just creating basically an interstate, a road network of energy over the same regions. So therefore, you cannot clear out this very moist air mass. So what you're looking at here, based off the Euro, is dew points. So you see dew points in the 60s, 70s. That's very moist air that these storms love, and just, the atmosphere loves to squeeze out moisture in the form of rain and storms. So, we get into Wednesday afternoon. We got this moist sector that built into the 60s all the way up into lower Michigan. Wisconsin. Deep moisture for the mid and deep south. We take it into Thursday morning. A little bit of a cold front boundary kind of clears out the air mass, so you get drier air up here, but it doesn't fully clear out all the way. So, you kind of have this avenue of where you have deep tropical moisture and more dry, kind of spring, winter-like air up here. But if you stay, whoever is staying in, say, the dew points in the 60s and 70s, you're going to continue just to get strong to severe storm activity and heavy rain. So this boundary, you can tell, just sits up over the same area. Friday morning, Friday afternoon, the moist air begins to build back north. And then we're starting to get into Saturday, moist air, there's a boundary just chilling over the same area. And it stays hot and humid down here for at least early April standards for the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley, across the Southeast. So, plenty of moist air. Go on to check that off as a thermodynamic that supports severe weather and just constant moisture feed. Now, next thing you look at is CAPE levels. In response to that deep moisture, you get that higher CAPE, which is storm fuel in the atmosphere. So this is Wednesday afternoon. You got CAPE levels spiking to 2,500, 3,000 joules per kilogram up the Mississippi River, all the way up to the Boot Hill. We got this area of CAPE all the way up over 1,000 joules per kilogram up into Indiana. It could very well be higher than this up into Illinois. And then, we get into Thursday, and, deep, pretty much just rocket fuel down here for thunderstorms down Arkansas, Louisiana. And, it doesn't look like you have as much fuel in the atmosphere further north as you get into Friday. But, I mean, you get into Friday afternoon, there's still a lot of energy in the atmosphere for thunderstorms. It's just where's your best flow going to be over this kind of fueled atmosphere across this area of the country. And then we get into Saturday, you're still seeing just areas of Cape all the way up into Kentucky, Ohio. And, we look at the low-level flow, and I'm only going to focus on the next couple of days with this. Look at this low-level jet that we're waking up to Wednesday. And then we get into Wednesday, afternoon. Folks, this is a massive low-level jet over 50 to 70 knots in certain areas. So this will be riding over a very moist air mass, and an air mass that is fueled as far as Cape levels, storm fuel. So this is going to be powering these storms over this area. And with this pretty much stout southerly low-level flow, and then that westerly flow on top of this, you're going to have that turning in the atmosphere. This is going to create that spin in the atmosphere, directional shear. We're going to have tornadoes. And then that low-level flow kind of begins to shift southeast, but we're probably going to continue to have little impulses of energy. So probably some sort of surface low right in here somewhere. And this is going to be probably continuing to power a low-level jet, 850 millibar, like 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air. Flow will still, I think, remain at about 40, 50 knots across this area. This will provide enough wind energy to continue to get these storms going. And then after this, we're not quite sure what's going to happen. After we get into Friday, Saturday, it shows this other severe weather event for Friday across Arkansas, but man, there's so much to figure out, guys. But with all this rain that's going to be going over the same areas already for, this is for, heck, I'm getting my days mixed up. This is for Wednesday. We already have a moderate risk of flash flooding, 40% risk of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in any given location in this red area. In the yellow area, that is a 15% risk. And then check it out. You go to day 4, it's over the same area. A moderate risk of flash flooding from Cincinnati down to Little Rock, Memphis, Evansville, Louisville, Cincinnati. Moderate risk of flash flooding. And then for day 5, it backs up to the southwest. Another day of a moderate risk. We could end up getting a high risk of flash flooding out of this at some point. So the flooding risk with this is serious. And then you actually look at how much rainfall between now and the next 7 days the Weather Prediction Center is going for. And I know this map is just loud right at you, but the highlight area for the most rain, 10 inches, is the Boot Hill, Missouri, northeast Arkansas, western areas of Tennessee, and then western areas of Kentucky, where over 10 inches of rain could fall. And this shade of color right here, Little Rock, 7 inches, all the way up into southern Indiana, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, northwestern Mississippi, back into southeastern Oklahoma. The Arklatex, 7 inches of rain. Dallas-Fort Worth, 4. I can click all over this map, guys, but the corridor of the losing my voice, the highest rain is right into here, where all this energy will continue to move over, guys. This is just 10 inches of rain is a lot of rain. Now, we'll round this off by speaking on the winter weather side. We have winter storm watches up north of the Minneapolis area. St. Cloud, you're included in this. Fargo, Jamestown, Bismarck, Duluth, winter storm watches are up. Watertown, South Dakota, we got some winter weather advisories. This gets going on later tonight. We could get some watches to get issued, or at least some advisories here in Wisconsin, the UP here in the coming hours. But this is because of a winter storm that's going to move in. This is tomorrow morning. April 1st, look at this. Getting into April, tomorrow afternoon, the darker blue, that's heavier snow breaking out across areas of the eastern Dakotas, and then western Minnesota. We get into tomorrow evening. This is late tomorrow evening. We could even get some snow flying around Minneapolis. You're right kind of on that rain snow line, but just north of Minneapolis is snowing pretty good. Snow's falling and back here in the Dakotas, snow in central Minnesota. And this continues, and it could get very heavy as we're getting into Wednesday morning across like Duluth, northeast Minnesota, some snow flying Still very heavy back here in the eastern sections of the Dakotas. Snowing still pretty heavily across the northern half of Minnesota. Look how heavy that snow is right here. Could get a lot. And then we start to get into Thursday morning, and we're about done with it. And just a closer look at the upper Midwest with this. We'll back it up here. This is tomorrow evening. Snow begins to overspread into northern Wisconsin all the way, really starting to get into Wednesday morning. We're going to get more snow up here. Steve and Lisa getting more snow. Snow even moving into lower Michigan. Look at here. And then we're starting to get into midday, and we could get some freezing rain, unfortunately, for certain areas of lower Michigan. Could be more of a wintry mix, but hopefully this is just all snow. But, I mean, this is getting into the afternoon of April 2nd. This is wild. Heavy snow back here in Duluth. Maybe a little bit of lake enhancement, and then you might change the all rain as the low pressure begins to move overhead. Snowfall expected between now and Thursday evening. I'm not going to section out each state. Just I'm running out of gas here. I'm not going to lie. But the northern section of central and northern Minnesota could get over 6 to 10 inches of wet snow. There'll be a pocket of heavy snow in the Dakotas right here. And then the upper Midwest, this is what you're looking at. This could change, this could fine-tune, but going for a few inches of slushy wet snow, and this is freezing rain. Could get over 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain in certain sections of northern lower Michigan and Wisconsin. So, that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and we will do it all over again in the morning. God bless.